Here now to react is Judge Andrew Napolitano, Fox News senior judicial analyst and host of the Liberty File on Fox Nation. When he says that he thinks he's going to be fully exonerated, I mean, there are a lot of charges in different states with, different authorities and a lot of different crimes. What do you think are the odds that he gets off on all these things?
Well, the federal government usually prevails on cases like this. Not all the time, but most of the time. I mean, they don't pull the trigger. That is, get an indictment until they have all of their evidence lined up and ready to go, because they have a 90-day period during the course of which he could pull the trigger and say, I'm ready to try the case, and they have to be ready to go. I mean, stated differently, the evidence against him is overwhelming. What do I think of his bravado? That's his style. I mean, I would be surprised if he didn't stand in front of a camera and say, I'm going to prove myself innocent. Of course, he doesn't have to prove himself innocent. The government has to prove him guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. He did say in the last of his arraignments today, absolutely not guilty, Your Honor, which, again, is his style. That doesn't resonate differently to the judicial ear. That's just the way he is. When
you look at all the crimes that he's being charged with right now, from extorting Nike, saying unless you pay me, I think it was $20 million to come in and perform an audit of your company, I'm going to have a press conference, allegedly, and, tell them what you've actually been doing, or otherwise I'll be quiet and I will audit the company, which is, I mean, that they say that's extortion. It sounds pretty darn close. He goes through from the bankruptcy fraud to bank fraud to stealing from his clients. What strikes me is that he could be accused of so many crimes in such rapid succession, but not before this. Why do you think that he got away with so much for so long, and now all of a sudden, he was apparently doing things all over the place and no one thought anything of it before?
This is not a defense, and a lot of judges wouldn't permit it, but I'm sure, picking up on what you so nicely summarized, Melissa, he wants to argue that these are political prosecutions because he has essentially been serving his clients' needs. He may have moved money. I'm just trying to summarize what I think his defense is going to be. Yeah. He may have moved money from his client's account to his own, but his clients consented to it and knew about it, and nobody was harmed until he ran into this guy who became president of the United States, Donald Trump. I mean, he probably would like to make that argument, but quite frankly, the government's motivation for the prosecution, unless its motivation is patently clear and utterly inconsistent with its mission, is really irrelevant to the jury. On the Nike case, they have tapes of all the conversations. He's going to say this is hardball negotiation to settle a case, but I didn't hear the tapes. I read the transcripts of them. It's pretty clear that it was extortion.
Yeah, it's pretty clear that it was extortion. I read the transcripts as well. I guess the flip side of that point that I was trying to make was, if only he hadn't tried to be a national television star and hadn't become a darling of the media and, didn't put himself out there so far, would he have gotten away with these crimes? Because it didn't seem like anyone was really catching on. The most prominent of all of them was taking money from his clients in order to keep his private planes and his Ferraris and all these things going. It seems like he was getting away with that until he went on TV.
It certainly did. And of course, if you think about this big picture, the client he defrauded is the client who made him, who made his notoriety, who made him a national figure, Stormy Daniels, right. Now, he's probably going to get her to say, it was no big deal, and I knew he was going to pay me back, and it didn't trouble me. I doubt it. No. I'm sure the feds have already interrogated her before a grand jury, so they've locked in her version of events. She can't get on the witness stand and tell a different version of events without lying under oath in one of the two forums.
Yeah, and he told her the publisher wasn't paying because the book sales were slow. That's what the law enforcement is saying here. Judge, thank you for joining us. We appreciate it.